But I wasn't really that bothered because I believed if I did something good, I would be appreciated. So I studied hard and got into a prestigious university. That was the only time my father threw a party for me because I was the first in the family to do it. But Mia was jealous of it. So anyways, during my last year of high school, I started dating Tim. He proposed to me when we were sophomores in college. But we decided to wait till our graduation. So one day during our semester break, I went to his home and I saw the inconceivable. He was banging Mia. I was shocked, to say the least. I remember I was crying and screaming at him. I could never forget the smirk on Mia's face. That's when I knew Mia was a B word. So my dad and stepmom knew about it. And guess what? My dad told me, get over it and forgive them. Tim fell out of love with you. So what? He fell in love with your sister. You should give them your blessing instead of being petty, I shouted back. Of course you will say that because you cheated on mom. Big mistake. My dad and I had a screaming match. He told me he would disown me if I don't accept them and come to their wedding. I stormed off and I cried for days. That's when I realized something. I was alone. My dad didn't care if I was dead or alive. I started therapy after a friend of mine pushed me to it. It did help a bit. But in my mind I wanted some revenge. I wanted to be petty and make her regret it. I started thinking about what I could do. My initial plan was to wear white on her wedding day. But then I ran into Mia's ex, Jay. Him and Mia have been one of those couples who were on again, off again. Mia exploited Jay a lot. The last time they broke up was when Jay caught Mia flirting with one of his friends. But there was a lot of history. So when Jay learned about Mia and Tim, he was a little angry. He kept saying he wishes he could just take revenge on all the times Mia has done him wrong. So I had another plan. I knew Mia still had feelings for Jay, so I asked him to be my +1 at her wedding. It would piss her off. But we agreed that after that we would part ways. So when the wedding came, I was not at the wedding party. My dad was cordial with me because I wasn't creating trouble. So I went to her wedding with Jay. And I was wearing a bright red dress because I read that red means you slept with the groom. It was also over the top. I might have made some heads turn. When Mia saw me with Jay, her face turned pale. I was purposely being very touchy with Jay. Like whispering in his ears, touching his shoulder, dancing, singing with him very closely. I swear Mia was just as red as my dress. I was also asked to give a speech. I kept it short. Thank God I do not have any more sisters. What is your family's most devious secret? Otherwise Tim would have swapped Mia with one of them. You know he has a fetish for banging his fiancée's sisters behind her back. Based on the connotation from the audience and the screaming from my left ear, I stirred up some commotion. Needless to say, Jay and I were asked to leave the next day. I was bombarded with messages and phone calls. I didn't pick any of them. As for Jay, he stuck to our deal and I never saw him again. After the wedding incident, I decided I should find my mom because something in me was telling me that she didn't abandon me. It wasn't hard to find her. I found her on Facebook and we started chatting. She is married and has 2 boys. My half-brothers. I got the real story from her. She didn't abandon me. My father won the custody case. He used my mom's past substance abuse to take away her visitation rights too. We reconciled, and for the first time in my life I felt welcomed. I also met my stepfather and my 2 brothers. They are amazing people. Since then I would regularly meet them. 2 years after the wedding incident, I met a guy, Andy. We met during an alumni program in our college. He also went to our college, but he was 5 years my senior. We had a lot in common. He was kind, sweet and very mature. He knows about my past and has been really supportive. He was better than Tim in every other way. He was charming and had a really higher position in his job. After 2 years, my sister contacted me out of the blue and told me she was pregnant and she now wants to bury the hatchets. I was very reluctant. I was afraid that she would try to steal Andy away from me as well. But Andy reassured me he is not that weak. Honestly, I did want to meet Dad again. So I gave it a shot. I went to dinner with Andy and to my surprise, Tim recognized him. It was later revealed to me that Andy was Tim's boss. This is the fact I didn't know. My dad and stepmom brought me to her and said that my relationship with Andy is unacceptable because I'm trying to hurt my sister by dating Tim's boss. I told them to F off. My love life is none of their business. The dinner went sour after that. I got a drunken call from Tim that he is very unhappy with my sister and that he actually wants to escape. He never knew what he lost until he saw me with Andy. I ignored him with no hesitation. Then the phone's calls didn't stop. First, it was my dad telling me that me dating Andy is causing tension between my sister and Tim. I told him their marital life is none of my business. I got a call from my stepsister who asked if she could come to my house and talk. I told her after the dinner party, I want nothing to do with any of them. That bitch didn't listen. Instead, she went to Andy's office to convince him to talk to me. Of course, Tim saw this and accused her of trying to seduce Andy like he seduced him. Long story short, he had to fire Tim for his misbehavior. This caused even more tension. Tim became verbally abusive towards Mia and said his life was ruined because of her. They separated. Tim is trying to figure out how he can handle the divorce proceedings. After the Tim and Mia drama, my dad suddenly showed up in my apartment. He was bawling his eyes out that he caught Karen sleeping with his male cousin. He was devastated. So I told him what he said to me. When Tim cheated on me, Karen fell out of love with you, so she fell in love with your cousin. You should give them your blessing instead of being petty. My father's face was rotten to say the least. Now I have 2 family members who are going through divorce. Tim and Mia tried to reconcile, but eventually they settled for divorce. My dad did apologize to me for what he did to me and Mom. I told him that he deserved what's coming for him and that I have no feeling left for him, not even pity. If the time ever comes, I might forgive him. But I don't want him anymore. He will not be walking me down the aisle. Andy and I are recently engaged. We are having a small ceremony with just close friends and family. I was only planning for a petty revenge, but karma got them better.